Am I the a-hole for being brutally honest with my sis as to why no one comes to her games? Not the a-hole. Me and my sister are both football players for the same school. I play for the men's team, whilst she plays for the women's team. We come from football mad country, and a lot of people come to watch my team play. My team, being honest, is pretty high quality. We all train at the school 4 times a week and have at least 1 match a week, sometimes 2. And we all also have 1 clubs outside the school. We're very competitive, and the attitude is very good with my team. However, with my sister's team, the mentality is different. Along with the actual skill levels, there are people who got onto her team who can barely kick the ball. The training regime was supposed to be as hard as ours, but most of the girls weren't as committed, so they didn't want to train 4 times a week. By this I mean they were offered the chance to train 4 times a week, like us, but they turned it down because the players said they wouldn't show up. I know about this because our training times changed to more favorable ones because our team and their team use the same pitch. They're pretty bad compared to us, and most of people on her team can't even do the corner kick or shoot a long free kick, which are relatively basic things to do. Obviously, less people from our school show up to her games than they do for mine. Let's say 100 people come to my games, maybe 20 comes to hers, and they're all just friends, and many lives half through the games. Recently, her game was on the 4-game lose straight, and literally 1 person came to the game other than parents. She was fuming and was ranting about how sexist our school was, how they were supposed to train 4 times a week, but the school thought the girls weren't supposed to play football. How everyone in the school was sexist and never showed up to games because they were women. I was annoyed by this because A, it literally wasn't true. B, she's trying to find others to blame for her and her team's failings. And C, it's a pretty serious accusation to say someone's sexist, let alone an entire school. I told her that I've mentioned above how her team mentally was poor and uncompetitive, and that they played lazily and like they're bored. They were just bad. And whilst my team definitely wasn't pro, at least we looked like we played football before. She was insanely angry and yelling at me, calling a sexist pig, and still hasn't spoken to me. Am I the a-hole?
NTA, because when you gave her your reasoning you made no mention of gender, and gave her all good reasons that are true. If she could prove these reasons you listed as untrue, then maybe her statement would stand. However, in this situation it sounds like none of them really even want to be out there playing, so I don't think anyone would care to watch people who hate what they are playing and don't even try playing the game. It's just common sense that people won't be as interested in a game where one team isn't trying or is clearly lacking in some way. I played rugby in high school, and the girls' team generally had a lot more spectators than the boys' team. Why? Because we were dedicated to 3 practice a week plus pre-season training, while the boys' team could hardly show up for the 2 weekly practices, and this reflected in how they played their games. These days people want to watch a good match, regardless of the gender playing, and if the team playing, especially your home team, can't do that when they play, I don't blame people for wanting to spend that time elsewhere. And I don't mean good match based on winning or losing, I mean that both teams are hungry for the ball and giving everything they have in the field and dedicating time to their sport to do that. Piggybacking the top comment to say this, the women's team might have ended up in this predicament due to sexism that was present years ago. What she's saying might have been true when the team first started, regardless of their talent, and then over the years, people stopped joining the team and being invested because no one was showing up. Performance goes down, even less people show up, and that led to how it is today. Bear in mind that this is merely speculation, but it might be something for you and your sister to consider if she wants the team to get more recognition. Exactly. A women's football team could be kicking ass, beating every team they play against, and moving 7-0 the ranks, but they'd still have very few followers, because they're women, and for some reason women's sport is seen as less important. Meanwhile a men's team could be losing match after match, never progressing anywhere, and yet have avid followers from all around the world who act as if their lives depend on the outcome of a match. They could be absolute dogshit and still have followers, because it's men's sport. Hey, high school student here, also a guy. I feel like my experience be more relevant than compare viewership of pro leagues. I've attended 3 different high schools in different parts of the world, and the fact seems to remain the same. People attend whatever team they think is going to win or get a medal. This applies for both the girls and boys teams. I've even seen people ditch the finals game for boys to watch the third place game for girls because the girls were steamrolling. In short, it's fun to watch the team that wins, even more so the one that dominates. I really do think that, especially when it comes to high school games like the one in the op, it really just comes down to a matter of which team is more fun to watch. I understand that this is still anecdotal, but I feel that I still have a good sample size to come to this conclusion. Micro your AmItheA macro. There are years and years of systematic sexism and misogyny that led to the attitude of the female players, the way the team is viewed by the school, and the amount of money time rewards that are offered to the female team. Nah. You are justified in your response, but she's not wrong, either. ETA. Thank you for the awards. My first gold. And also the considered responses. I wish this was higher. I get where Op is coming from, but he's missing the big picture. Like the fact that girls aren't ever encouraged to be competitive as much as boys are. Like the fact that even if the girls' team kicked ass, people probably still wouldn't show up like they do for the boys. I remember when the female cheerleaders at my high school were doing fundraising with concessions, and my parents thought that it was going to the cheerleading squad, but nope. It was going to help the boys' football team. Parents of cheerleaders were expected to come in and sell concessions to help the football team. The system is not there to encourage female athletes. I also wonder if Op's perception is as true as he thinks. Practice times and support from the school. Perhaps there's something to what the sister says about the level of support that's actually offered. But people fail to recognize that generations of sexism continues to affect women in sports, even as opportunities are improving. Yes. And also, being called sexist is not a serious accusation. Op is sexist. I'm sexist. Everybody on this goddamn thread is sexist. What's important is that you can acknowledge the biases you have due to the society you grew up in and actively work against them.